In the movie today, we are going to practice our close and critical reading strategies that we used with print text on video text. We are using news video and learning how to examine them with the same close and critical eye that we use for print text. Most of the time when we encounter informational or news video, it is in the context of an official news program. There are usually newscasters or reporters, or if it's online, maybe an article or background information so that we understand the context of the video. This is true of the video that we are watching today. If you look below the actual video, you can see the information giving us the background we need. A week before Tunisia's vote in their country's historic general election, the first since the Arab Spring, protesters gathered to demand free speech. Their demonstration was prompted by a series of protests by Islamists against the screening of Persepolis, a 2007 French animated film set during the Iranian Revolution. So now that we understand what they're protesting, we can watch the video and apply those same close and critical reading strategies to the video that we did to print. As much of the video is in Arabic, they will use closed captioning so you can read the information on the screen. On the 14th of October, police fired tear gas. The rallies were aimed at a private TV station. Islamists were angered by the animated film. Critics say that it went against the teachings of God. The protesters are protesting that Tunis is a free state and freedom of speech is something that they should defend. So the first thing that I notice as I'm viewing this video is that after they've given us background information, why the protest is taking place, it seems more factual. Here's what happened on this date, this is what was done, but then they bring in supporting facts, and that is done by using personal interviews. So that's an interesting strategy and a way to support what the video is trying to tell us. One of the protesters believes that the concern with the conservatives, or the people who think that showing the videos and the information in the videos violates God's laws, is related to the fact that there is not a lot of work in Tunisia, and this is a country where conservatives believe that women and men have very different roles, and there are educated women who have jobs while men do not. So this protester is suggesting that maybe it has as much to do with that as it does with the particular content of the film. In this personal interview, you can see that the protester is suggesting that the people who protested the movie had not even seen the movie. So it's difficult for them to address the contents of the movie when they hadn't actually seen it. She believes that what was protested was a very small part, and that when you have freedom of speech, there may be things you disagree with, but that doesn't mean that you don't believe in your religion or that you shouldn't be free to express it. Here I'm stopping because I found a puzzling word. Salafis. I wasn't sure what Salafis was. They refer to some of the Salafis want to stop people from expressing themselves. From that, I can ascertain that Salafis is a group of people and they have a belief system and they have the power or authority or are working towards that to put a stop to people who believe differently than them. Because this is a puzzling word, what I would do is take the time to go look up what is a Salafi so that I understood what they were talking about. This protester is telling us that despite what is seen or despite the protests that happened previously against the Persepolis movie, that they don't represent the majority of the population of Tunis. That's important as they come to election time so that people feel like they have the right to vote in the way that they want and they can represent the majority of their country, not a minority. The other important thing that they discussed is the importance of a civil state, that Tunis believe in a civil state. Now, it can easily be misunderstood to mean Tunis want a calm or peaceful way of living. But in this case, you can see that the video itself explains what it means by a civil state. A civil state is one in which religion is kept separate from the state. So very much like the United States, it is not that we are anti-religion, it is that the two must remain separate. There are areas of church or religion and there are areas of state, and this is a belief that this man says most of the people or the majority of the people in Tunis believe. Obviously, these protesters feel it's important to point out that one of the facts about the revolution or the protest as it's turning into a revolution is that they are still Muslims, but they believe in freedom. So they're not trying to separate what is of God, what is not of God, or what is allowed by them. That is something that the church certainly has the right to decide, but those same rules don't apply to the state and how the state functions or makes rules for its people. After we conclude the video, we can think about the video in a particular way. And what I want you to think about is what is the one question that could be answered if you viewed this video. As I looked through this video, the question that I thought it answered was why were they protesting the Tunisian election of 2011? And we got a great well-rounded view on what it was specifically that they were protesting. And they felt that there were loss of freedoms, and specifically they were afraid that freedoms were going to be lost based on a previous protest against a video. So that's the first part of what we do to do a close and critical reading. The last part of our close and critical viewing of the video is very similar to how we inference in a print text. And we use a chart from Bloom's taxonomy that talks about different levels of question, but really it's different ways of inferring. So we need to look at evaluating. So what do we believe was behind the protest? So that was one question that we could come up with. What is the motive? And you can see that for many people it goes beyond just freedoms and freedom of speech, but there was a lot of emphasis on women, and that's directly related to the video and what was being protested in the video, that these women were concerned that it wasn't just going to be freedoms of speech, but specifically targeted at women and the freedoms that women have. So that underlying or background fear was made evident even though it's not one of the questions that was addressed. When you view this on your own, you will have the support of a document that gives you example questions that you can use after you've viewed the video to think of higher order questions or questions that take you to a deeper meaning of the text.